there, and thanks for learning to play games. My name is Lance, and in today's video, I'm looking at a brand new game on Kickstarter right now, which is Tomb Raider: The Crypt of Chronos. This is the latest game from Iconiq Studios. It is a single-player game. There are going to be there are a couple modes where you can play with more players, but at its heart, this is a single-player game, and it takes roughly 30 to 60 minutes per session to play. And the game itself can be played in two different ways. There's an adventure book where it's going to have 15 chapters, and you'll be able to play each chapter as an individual mission in order, making your way through it in multiple sessions. Or you can play an islands campaign, and this is a sit-down, one-shot session that takes you 3 hours and has all kinds of different replayability where you're going to be using randomized cards and all kinds of different things, exploring the island and trying to find out the secrets and where the Chronos artifact is. So in this video, I'm going to take you through showing you the main features of the game and then also show you a sample turn to give you a better idea how this one plays. As always, if you find my videos helpful, if you like what I do, please consider hitting that like button and subscribe to my channel. It's one of the easiest ways you can support channels like mine so we continue to grow, build, and produce this content. If you want to get notified anytime I drop new videos, as I'm constantly dropping all kinds of different videos, hit that notification bell and I'll let you know whenever I drop new stuff. Now, I do want to point out that all the materials here are prototype materials and are subject to change, and it'll go a lot better than the final production copy of the game. So let's go ahead and head to the table and we'll see what this is all about. The first thing we'll look at are Laura's dice, and she's going to use these during her turn to take different actions, and depending upon how many dice she wishes to spend on an action will determine both the action's potential success and the number of actions that she can take during her turn, which I'll cover a little bit more later. On the dice, you're going to find two sides with a single success, one side with a double success, two sides with a sacrifice, which means that they do not count as a success unless you decide to discard an event card. And then finally, one side with a fail. From there, then I want to cover Laura's board, and this is where you're going to track most of Laura's stuff. So with the board, it's going to have an image of Laura on the side, along with a health tracker to determine her current health, and then slots for her outfit and weapons. And throughout the game, you're going to be able to gain all kinds of different outfits and weapons from all the different Lara Croft games. For example, here's a sampling of them. So you'll have Survivor. This gives you a few more hit points, or Camo, which gives you an additional weapon slot and all kinds of other stuff. The cat suit, which allows you to ignore noise on weapons, and all kinds of other ones. From there, then, you also have two slots for weapons, which there's all kinds of different weapons, including the dual pistols that she's known for, a silent sting, an M16, even a bow, and many others that are going to be included in the game as well. From there, then, you'll have her action spots, and there are 6 different actions that Laura will be able to carry out throughout her turn by spending Laura's dice that I just went over. And depending upon the number of dice you roll, will help you to get the number of successes that you need based on the different actions. For example, with a move action, you're going to be able to move 1 space per dice, plus every success is going to allow you to move additional space. So if I roll 2 dice and I get 2 successes, I could move 4 spaces. But if I happen to roll no successes or the sacrifice and I don't wish to spend an event, then there is consequences for that as well, where I would generate noise in that space that I'm currently in. And each one of the actions has different things, and some of them can only be done once per turn, and others will be done outside of your turn, for example, during the enemy turn or event phase to dodge different things, whether it's traps or enemy attacks. From there, then there's also 2 slots for abilities, and you're going to be able to gain all kinds of different abilities throughout the game. And these abilities will open up new action options. For example, with focus, that lets you do different things as the other actions do, or obstruct, or even passive abilities that will give you some sort of benefit throughout your turn. Now, Laura is also going to be able to take research actions to gain research cards, and these cards are going to have all kinds of different effects that you'll be able to use. For example, being able to go back into hiding, or adding multiple successes to your roll, being able to skip the event phase, or being able to dodge a trap, among many others. There's also map cards that will only be added to the research deck if you're playing a particular mode in the game. Laura also has her craft bench, and this is the place that she's going to go to be able to use the resource tokens that she acquires throughout the game. And there are 4 different main resources: oil, scrap, cloth, and treasure. With treasure being a wild resource, which means that you can use it to represent any one of the other resources. And with some of the treasure tokens, they are going to be worth multiple tokens. So you'll be able to spend those to represent one of the different resources by the multiple that it's listed as. And there are a number of different things on her bench that she can graft, including additional bullets, being able to heal some of her damage, and additional dice, bonus dice that Laura will be able to use during her next turn or a later turn than when she chooses. Now, the one catch with these is that they are single use, so once you use them, they will be placed back in these slots and you'll have to unlock them again. On top of that, Laura can gain weapons, outfits, and abilities by spending a number of resource tokens of that type, or again, treasure tokens. By spending 5 of that resource, she'll get to draw 1 card, and if she goes to spend 7 resources, she gets to draw 2 and keep 1 of those, so it'll give you a little bit more of a choice. From there, let's go into some detail about the different enemies that are going to be blocking Laura's path and trying to stop her or eliminate her before she's able to accomplish her goals. And there are 3 main types of basic enemies, which are going to be wildlife enemies, protectors, and that'll attack enemies from the secret organization, mercenary organization. And each one of these is going to have 2 different types of models that represent it. So for example, with wildlife, you'll have the wolves and the snakes. And each enemy is going to have a number of different stats, including the number of hit points that that enemy has. And you have to deal that number of hit point or damage to that enemy to eliminate them. There are no health trackers, so it's all or nothing. Either you eliminate the enemy or your attack fails. Next is the enemy's movement, or number of spaces the enemy will move during its turn, and the amount of damage it does when it performs an attack, as well as its range. So with wildlife, they are melee enemies, which can only attack 1 space in front of them. With the protectors, they're a little tougher with more hit points, but a little bit slower with their movement, and they have a ranged attack. And then finally, the mercenaries, they have the most health, most movement, and most damage. They are really formidable basic enemies. There are also going to be some boss level enemies that are really going to provide massive challenges for Laura. One example here is the bear, and this one has a movement, its amount of damage, its attack range, and special abilities, as well as a health tracker. With boss enemies, they are going to have a health tracker to keep track of their health, so as you do damage, you'll mark that on the health tracker. Unlike regular basic enemies that are all or nothing, bosses you're slowly going to tick through their health to eliminate them. Another key component I want to go over is the event deck, as this has multiple uses in the game. First off, during the Laura turn, she is going to be able to change sacrifices that she rolls on her dice to successes by discarding cards from the event deck and not resolving those. On top of that, during the event phase, you're going to draw and resolve an event card or multiple event cards depending upon if there are enemies out on the board or not. And these cards are going to have a range of different effects, including spawning new enemies, being able to activate and attack with enemies that are already out, having different traps such as boulders and all kinds of other things that she's going to have to handle, and even some positive effects that you can choose to gain by discarding that card or removing it from the event deck, shrinking that deck, and having more negative cards in there. Now, there are penalties to the event deck running out. Every time the event deck runs out, you're going to place a marker token on Laura's dashboard. And if at the beginning of a chapter, there are a certain number of those based on that chapter, you are going to reverse this deck to the invaded deck, where the tall deck has caught up with Laura, and she'll have to resolve the other side of each of those cards instead, which is a more nasty side of that. Now, at the end of that mission, if she is successful, she will remove a number of those markers, hopefully dropping below the threshold for the following chapter that she's going to go into. And the final thing I want to do is take you through a sample turn and give you a better idea how this one plays. So each round is comprised of 3 separate phases that are going to be done in order, and this is going to continue cycling through until either Laura has lost the mission or has completed the objectives and has successfully exited the map. So in this example, I've set up the very first map, and so Laura's goals with this is to make it to the switch, to open up this red gate, and make it down this corridor to grab the artifact. She also has to perform at least 1 search action and 1 research action along the way. From there, once she has gained the artifact, she needs to make it out of the exit spot on this tile and have no enemies on that tile in order to accomplish that. So from there, let's move into the game. So the game starts with the Laura phase, and during this phase, she is going to be able to spend her Laura dice to carry out the different actions however she sees fit. Now, some of the actions can only be performed once per turn, such as the search action, and other actions can be performed multiple times as long as you have the dice to spend. So let's go ahead and start by doing a move action. So this is going to allow her to move one space per die, plus an additional space per success that is rolled on those dice. And I don't really want to take out the wolf just yet for various reasons, as I'm going to explain a little bit later, as you're going to see, but getting a little closer to him and potentially getting ready to take him out could be beneficial. So I'm going to go ahead and roll. I'm going to roll 3 dice and see how that works. All right. And I've got 2 successes and I have a sacrifice. So I could choose to discard an event card to turn that into a success, but I think I'm okay with the 5. So with that now, or with the 2, now I'm going to be able to move a number of spaces equal to, again, the number of dice rolled, which is 3, plus the number of successes, which gives me 5 spaces of movement. All movement is done orthogonally. So I'm going to go ahead and go 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'll go ahead and move 5 right there. So I'm right behind the wolf. So all enemies' line of sight is the space that they're in plus the 2 spaces to their side, moving forward 6 spaces. So right now this wolf sees all of these spaces and then all the way up to these spaces here, as they are high spaces or elevated spaces, so he can't see past those. And certain things will block line of sight as well. All right, so from there, I've spent those dice, so I still have 3 dice left that I can do different actions with. So I think from there, I'm going to go ahead and try to do a search action. So I'm going to use 2 dice for that, and that is going to have me rolling a number of dice. And I got 1 success. Gaining a second success isn't going to help me, as I need 3 successes to get 3, so I'll simply go ahead and stick with that, and I get to gain 1 resource from the bag. All right, and I found treasure. So that, again, that is a wild, so it counts as any one of the 3 different resources that I need. All right, and then my final action, I think I will try a research action. So this one has me roll a die, and I got a sacrifice, which I'll go ahead and spend an event to turn that into success. So I'll flip that over without resolving it, and that turns into a success. So with 1 success, it's going to have me placing 2 cubes on that research thing. And anytime I get 3 cubes, I will gain a research card, or if I would have happened to have gotten the 2 successes, I would have also gotten to draw a research card. All right, so I'm out of dice at this point, so my turn is done. So now it's going to move into the enemy's turn. So starting from the left-hand side and making my way across, I get to activate each enemy in order from top to bottom if there's a tie. So right now, the wolf is the only enemy out, and so the wolf is going to move a number of spaces based on his stats. So he has a movement of 4, so he'll move 4 spaces in a straight line. Now, if he had to move an additional space, since there's a wall there, he would rotate clockwise until he is facing a space that's open. So if he had 5 movement, for example, he would have ended up turning all the way around and moving forward 1, and now he would have line of sight to Laura. So that would have been very bad. All right. So from there, that is the end of the enemy phase, as there are no other enemies to activate. So now I'm going to reveal and resolve an event card. Now, if I would have eliminated the wolf where there are no enemies on the board, I would have to draw and resolve 2 event cards instead. So managing how many enemies are around on the board is also an important part of the game. All right, so I have an enemy spawn. So there's a new enemy coming out, which is going to be a wildlife enemy. So I'm going to roll the die to determine where it's going to come out at. And it's coming out on point 2, and it is going to be facing in the direction of the arrow. All right, so then that is the end of the event phase. So then it would go back into the Laura phase, where she is going to get to take actions again at that point. And this again is going to continue until she is either eliminated or she completes the objectives of the mission. Well, I hope you found this video helpful in helping you decide whether or not this is one you want to back on Kickstarter. As always, if you have any questions or comments, please post those in the comment section below and I'll do my best to answer them. Or swing by the Kickstarter page and drop any questions you have there in the comments section. I'm sure the creators would love to hear from you and are more than happy to answer any questions you have. Until next time, I'll see you later.